Hello, and welcome to Black Box Online Radio. Earlier this year, I mentioned that we were going to be doing a new Zodiac Killer book discussion. The most recent one we did was on The Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 1986 by Thomas Henry Horan. We have a 17-part playlist where you can hear that here on YouTube, and really the last two segments are just the concluding notes, the sign-off. It's really a 15-part series, but I wanted to do another book discussion. Now, the next one we're going to do is going to be much shorter, but it's going to be on The Most Dangerous Animal of All by Gary L. Stewart. I chose this one for a variety of reasons. Lately on the channel, I had made some comments about how I was very critical of people who don't want to confront ideas. Because I was saying that if you have the ability to challenge somebody, to debunk someone, to investigate someone's claims, to provide an alternative to somebody's claims, then do it. If you can say something to the contrary, then do it. Like, what is holding you back? It doesn't mean you have to devote your entire life to try and prove somebody wrong. If you have something to say about why this person's idea is incorrect, all right, well, what's stopping you? So if I was going to say that to other people, how could I be so dismissive of some of these other Zodiac books out there? And I've been very critical of Gary Stewart in the past. I've been very critical of any of the theories related to Earl Van Best as a Zodiac killer suspect. And we're going to be doing this discussion series, but I would say that it's not going to be exactly exploring the possibility that Earl Van Best is the Zodiac killer. I just want to see if we can learn a little bit about some of the material that is going to be in this book. Are we going to learn anything new about the Zodiac killer case? And are we going to be able to have just an overall discussion about the Zodiac killer mystery, not isolated on Earl Van Best, but an overall discussion? I'm holding my copy of The Most Dangerous Animal of All right here, and just to have a few notes. The details concerning my father's life span 5 decades and are complex. It seemed best to simply start at the beginning in order to give the reader a real sense of how and why my father grew into a serial killer. And the paragraph before that is, I should note that all of the conversations that took place between me and others, including my biological mother, my father's best friend, detectives at the San Francisco Police Department, are all related verbatim. I mean, so far, that's a good start. I'm really glad that he's going to relay the discussions verbatim, or at least he says that he is, because I am just very, not only critical, I just get enraged when people do not do that. Back when I used to be a writer for this one entertainment website, a local newspaper wanted to do a story about me, and I was like, oh my goodness, a local newspaper wants to do a story about me? I just wanted to tell everybody. I was somewhat excited for it. But when they actually put it out, they took so many things that I had said and just twisted them, manipulated the quotations, and just blatant misrepresentations about what I had been talking about. And I was just like, what on earth is this? Like, this isn't like, these aren't things that I've said at all. So I am very critical of people that do not take discussions and use them verbatim, about people who take discussions and misrepresent the facts, because it's just not accurate. And it's ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, how some of it can get out. And I don't necessarily know how truthful Gary Stewart's going to be, but we're going to see as we explore this book. To get more into his substance material, I mean, like out of the prologue, that is, let's just have a little read right here. When I got home, I turned on the overhead lights so I wouldn't miss a detail as I sifted through the letters in the box. Sitting in my favorite recliner, I stared at the picture of the woman who claimed to be my mother. Her eyes, her nose, her mouth, they were like mine. I pulled out the letter Judith had written to all of the men she could find who had been born on my birth date in Louisiana. Tears gathered in my eyes as I read. In the letter, she explained that she had been 15 years old and a runaway from California when I had been born. She had been married to my father, but the marriage had been annulled by her mother because she was underage. She went on to say that she had been apprehended and sent back to California. The condition her mother had set for her daughter to eventually move back in with her, and that I, 2 months old at the time, would be given up for adoption. She said she had married again at the age of 26 and had another son. And this is, of course, Scary Stewart talking about his mother, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Earl Van Best Jr. and some things that are going on there. Separated from his mother at birth, and a lot of people out there are talking about the Zodiac Killer, and they're saying that they have a family member that is indeed the Zodiac. We were just talking about Steve Hodel last week, who was saying that his father, George Hill Hodel, was the Zodiac Killer. We also have Jack Torrance, whose stepson is the leading kind of promulgator in that theory. Now we have Gary Stewart saying that his biological father was the Zodiac Killer. Are all of these people the Zodiac Killer? According to Thomas Henry Horan, none of them are the Zodiac Killer. Zodiac Killer isn't even a single person. Let's find out. I mean, once again, though, I think we're just going to be exploring with this, and we're going to be keeping somewhat of an open mind, but at the same time, when people are going to be making strong claims, we can push back against it. When people are going to be making very bold statements like Earl Van Best was the Zodiac Killer, or that these events happened in this way, we're going to look out for some things. When we were doing the discussion on Thomas Henry Horan, if anything, he provided the possibility that Robert Graysmith would take the actual documents about the Zodiac Killer case, and he would take things that were half true and add a fictitious ending to them. Like, say, for example, somebody witnessed Darlene Ferrin having an argument in the parking lot of Terry's restaurant where she worked on the night of her murder. In reality, according to Thomas Henry Horan anyway, just his take on the subject, his analysis, his interpretation, according to him, that didn't actually happen. There was an argument in Terry's restaurant that day, in the parking lot of Terry's restaurant. It wasn't at 10:30 p.m., it was at 10:30 a.m., and Darlene Ferrin wasn't even present. So, as they say, Robert Graysmith was using something that was half true, meaning that there was an argument at Terry's restaurant, half fictitious, that it was Darlene Ferrin at 10:30 p.m. That didn't happen. We're going to look at this book kind of looking for some things like that. Are there any kind of true facts that are connected to sort of fictitious endings? And I think that that could be a very good way to explore this particular book. I mean, this is going to be a short series, probably less than 10 uploads. It really depends on how fast we go. We just have so many things going on right now. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this live, we're going to be discussing the murder of Rada Atif, who was a model. She was known as the girl with blue eyes. It's been reported as a suicide, but most likely it was a murder. Very compelling case. And after that, we're going to be beginning the discussions of the most dangerous animal of all. And I would also like to ask you, I thought about using a different book from Robert Graysmith, not Zodiac, Zodiac Unmasked. That was one of the books that I had contemplated doing a series on. And I mean, we can do more than one, because this is going to be a short series, and time isn't running out for the Zodiac Killer case. The police have closed the investigation. It's all just up to the people having the discussions now. As well as Time 17 by Gareth Penn. When I looked at that Gareth Penn stuff years ago, I was just like, whoa, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. Maybe now I think we could make a better response to that. Would you be interested in hearing about one of those in the future, Zodiac Unmasked or Time 17 by Gareth Penn? If you have anything to say at all about those things, I would love to hear from you. You can also check out our 4-part series that we just completed on Charles Manson and the Manson family. And we're going to be starting something new, having some discussions about the TNT series, I Am the Night, which is now available on Hulu, because it's all about Fauna Hodel and her connections to George Hodel. But as I leave you right now, let's be very clear. Many people are saying that they have family members who are the Zodiac Killer. And the big reason why is, I believe that, 1, some people might be doing this for profit. 2, some people are kind of bathing in the spotlight, for lack of a better term, just taking it on in. 3, some people genuinely believe they have a relative that was the Zodiac Killer. And 4, some people are just being weird and confusing. Not to mention, though, I mean, we don't necessarily know what's in anybody's mind or anybody's heart. These things could be happening for a variety of reasons. But we're going to investigate. And we also have to remember what the conspiracy skeptic Mark Roberts said. If someone wants to say, I want to dispute this fact, let's do it. If someone wants to say, here's my very vast conspiracy, and I expect you to accept it completely 100%, we will not accept it. So let's see what happens with this discussion of The Most Dangerous Animal of All by Gary L. Stewart. I look forward to this one, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time.